Hey everyone, welcome to Right on Focus. I'm Gene Ho and this is Nadine Ho. And we have a great show for you today because we're going to start off talking about China, as Donald Trump would say. The President of the United States has just signed an executive order against Hong Kong and China. And so we're going to talk about that. And Nadine, where did we just come back from?
We were in South Dakota, Mount Rushmore, with Don Jr. and Old Glory, the world's largest flag.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And also we have a little short interview. We ran into Educating Liberals, Dylan Wheeler, and we're going to talk about how he got censored on Twitter. So we have a lot to talk about today on Right on Focus. Welcome back, everyone, to Right on Focus. I'm Gene Ho, and this is Nadine. And this just happened. This is all breaking news, but the President of the United States just signed a executive order. And I don't know if you've been following Trump's executive orders. Nate, have you followed much of his executive orders with the human trafficking and all this
Human
stuff?
trafficking primarily, yeah.
It seems like the president is getting a lot accomplished by these executive orders. And it's really interesting because he came out with one today and he talks, I'll read it. It's the president's executive order on Hong Kong normalization. And it's really interesting because it's an executive order. So I don't know if you ever read executive orders. They're really hard to understand. You have to kind of read through it and understand what it's about. But the gist of it is Trump has just put the smackdown on China. As you know, China is in control of Hong Kong, and the relationship was supposed to be separate. When China got the Hong Kong back, the territory back from British to China, it was supposed to be two separate things. They blended that, so now it's really under control of China when it should have been independent. Mm-hmm. So, knowing all this, that's why the riots have been in Hong Kong. So the president just signed this executive order. And it's very difficult to understand. There's a lot of things it takes away, but basically it's thrown down. He's thrown down on China. And I mean, I think, and just off the top of my head, I think I think we have to win this. I think America has to win, if you want to call it this Cold War or however you want to call it.
Sure. Well, I think that this kind of goes off topic a little bit, but remains on. If you watch a lot of, and this might be for you, maybe not, but like end times dreams. If you have folks who will share, prophetic dreams, almost always these dreams involve, for whatever reason, Chinese military on American soil. That's something that you see routinely in a lot of these people that account dreams of what they envision for the future. And I don't know if this now if we can sort of see this coming together maybe a little bit more, but I understand your insistence on this being a huge deal, and we have to win this election. It's not another 4-year election as you're used to hearing.
The executive order, almost in a nutshell, it almost makes the wording on it, and I should just read it because it's really, it talks about property that Asian Americans even could own, but if the money came from mainland China, it's almost like it could be seized. And there's things I know because I know that with China, they have been trying to work with Trump, but Trump's really not working with them. I believe he feels that China has taken advantage of the United States. And so our president, he doesn't take stuff. But just reading it says Section 4 on this executive order: all property and interest in property that are in the United States that hereafter come within the United States, or that are hereafter come within the possession or control of any United States person, of the following persons are blocked and may not be transferred, paid, exported, withdrawn, or otherwise dealt with. And if you read some of Trump's executive orders when it came to human trafficking, which is also a good thing, basically, if you're human trafficking, the United States government can seize your property. And that's how he's using the government and his executive orders to fight for us and to fight for the goodness of America. Well, it seems that Trump is doing that now with China, especially with Hong Kong, because Hong Kong has often been a backdoor where people would come into the United States through Hong Kong because we treated Hong Kong, or the United States treated Hong Kong, as something separate. And I just know, like, I am an American. My family background is that my family is from China and Hong Kong, but I am a 100% American. But it's going to be interesting how basically interesting the response that China has on this.
Right. Being married to an American who is Chinese as well, I don't know what the right word is. They're very patient with their vengeance, if that's...
Yeah.
So this is a very, very big thing that we're throwing out there on the table right now, and I just think that the long-term effects for Donald Trump, for his family, for anyone who stands behind him and supports his view, supports this particular executive order, it's some pretty big stuff, guys.
And you know what? As I said before, I am 100% American, and I 100% support Donald Trump. I'm just saying, we as citizens of the United States, we need to work together. We need to get this president reelected in 2020. And I'm just the few things I'm reading online, people are just saying, you know what? Donald Trump has guts, because I think in the past, the whole thing with this is that, hands off China because they might crash the dollar. And I think that we may be also headed to the gold standard. I think that Trump is basically saying, you want to crash the dollar? Go ahead, crash the dollar.
Yep.
We're going to go back to the gold standard anyway. And that's what I think. And that's my opinion on it. And it's just interesting. And that's something I guess all of us could watch how China reacts to this, because this is some serious stuff that just went down.
Yeah. Overall, I think that it just goes back to what he's been saying from the beginning: America first.
Yeah.
America first. That's the one thing that he's just drilled on, and this again is proving that.
Yes. Anyway, something for you guys to think about, and we will be right back on Right on Focus, and we'll talk about some other stuff on the lighter side. So we will be right back.
You've been living in a dream world.
Welcome back, everyone, to Right on Focus, and we'll take it into a little bit of a lighter note. Nadine, we just got back from Mount Rushmore. What'd you think of it?
Oh my goodness, what a good time. Where do we start?
Well, okay, let me explain what basically happened. As you might know, the President of the United States was there for a fireworks show, so there were a lot of events during that whole week. Mm-hmm. I was part of the events, some of the events speaking, but also I was Donald Trump Jr.'s personal photographer for an event. So I got a chance to spend some time with him. And
okay, so had you met him prior to that?
I have met him before that, but I had not had any meaningful conversations with him.
Okay.
Because basically at most of my events, I was working with Eric and Laura Trump. So I got a chance to know Eric and Laura Trump extremely well. So this was kind of nice. I really haven't spent much time with Don Jr., but I spent some time with his girlfriend, Kimberly Guilfoyle, and it was an interesting story what happened.
Yes, it was interesting. So the event, and I don't remember the specific days of the week, but the event was on a particular day, and it was great. He came back, he was excited, did all the photos, VIPs with the governor.
Governor of South Dakota.
We're going through that evening, editing, getting everything over to the campaign, and the next morning, before I had even gotten out of bed, he had sent me a text message of a news article
Front page.
that Kimberly Guilfoyle was tested positive for COVID.
And it was surreal because, I'd never met her before this time. So I met her. We took a selfie and
snuggled all up on each other, breathing each other's air. No masks, mind you.
But the thing is, she looked fine that day.
She was fine.
I don't know what her health situation is. I bet you she's fine. But, people were like worried about me and like, oh, Gene,
sure.
whatever. It's more than past now. I feel fine. I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah.
I
As
feel
far
fine.
as this COVID thing goes, it's interesting to me that you have the same group of people who are terrified of this invisible, virus, this invisible germ, are the same people who don't believe in God because they can't see him. So it's interesting.
And you know what? And the other thing is, we've also had friends. I have friends that got sick from COVID, and I'm not saying it's not a real disease.
It exists, yes.
You have to always say that. All I'm saying is, I think a lot of it is blown a little bit out of proportion.
A lot bit.
And also, we know some people that went in with mild sicknesses, got tested, and suddenly they have COVID too, but they were fine. They recovered just fine.
Right.
And it just seems like
Well, additionally, the problem too is if you have somebody who does test positive and they have to continue to retest until they turn up a negative test, if they're tested 4 times throughout the course of that illness, that's being added as 4 positives in the overall number that we're seeing. So the skew is so huge. It's really unfathomable.
And while we were there, it was interesting because Don Jr. had a really good point, and we'll play this clip in a little bit. But basically, Don Jr. was saying and reminding people again, hey, it's much easier to be a liberal. When you're a liberal, everyone loves you. You have a bunch of friends. For the most part, the conservatives really don't attack you in that way. But Donald Trump did that. He knew what was going to happen, and he ran for president anyway. So we'll roll this clip about what Don Jr. said that evening that I met him.
He understood, the rage mob and those who were friends for decades would turn on you because of woke culture, and it's just easier to be a liberal. He understood what it would take to win. But more importantly, he understood all of those things, and he did it anyway.
Right?
Yeah. It's sort of like the difference between fear and courage, right?
I met a wonderful person, the governor, Kristi Noem of South Dakota. It was wonderful. Nay, when we went there, as for the most part, and some businesses choose to do some stuff, but were there any social distancing
Well,
things?
I know what's in your head, and I know why you worded it that way. When we crossed over and arrived in South Dakota, this was supposed to be, South Dakota, where they didn't shut down and they just kept charging through. So we were expecting, like freedom, cowboys everywhere. And one of the first places we stopped just so happened, not on purpose, was Barnes and Noble. We were looking for a book. We were looking for a book that my son had been chasing from South Carolina. It's an old book. It very rarely do they actually carry it. And so we would look up online to see the different cities that we were going to be in. And if they carried the book or not, we were going to stop and pick it up. So when we got to South Dakota, it happened that they carried the book. So we went to the door and we're not allowed to go inside.
Because they had mandatory masks.
Mandatory masks.
But you gotta.
And
I wish
Mama ain't playing that game.
I wish you could have seen I wish we had a video of the lady that was black. It's like, no,
Terrified.
don't come in.
Terrified of my family.
Let alone that I'm a Chinese man.
Yeah.
It's like they're like, oh, he's got the COVID.
Yeah.
But the governor is a wonderful person. I think we're running a video of her just going out and talking to people, and she crossed over the police line, so to speak, to talk to people. She's a wonderful person. But it was a wonderful trip. And then finally, Nay, we did this thing with the flag. Could you tell people a little bit about this?
Yes. So we have a good friend that we met actually in Las Vegas for Deplorapalooza, who has had a dream for a while to unfurl the world's largest flag. And his goal, his hope was to do this at night. It had never been raised at night. And he decided that he wanted to do that when he found out that Donald Trump was going to South Dakota and that South Dakota hadn't shut down. That's where he wanted to do it. So on July 3rd, he obtained, Old Glory is her name. This is a 3,000-pound flag. It is 255 feet by 505 feet in it. The stars themselves are 17 feet tall. I think that we weren't sure how you unfurl this flag.
And and the thing is, the guy's name that did this, it was Dane Sensor and his brother, John. They had this vision, they put it together. We're going to show you a video at the end of this part, and it'll take your breath away. And it's not my video. I believe it was Sturgis' photo. It was at Buffalo Chip Sturgis. I want to give him credit for making this video because it's just amazing, and it shows you what it was. But Nay, underneath it, we were underneath the flag.
Yes. So the system was you would have pullers, right?
And holders.
Holders and pullers. So the holders would hold the edge of the flag. The pullers would pull the flag open. And so that's what you'll see happening. We were the people that were scattered all over the field, and we were called the runners. So the runner's job was, after the flag gets pulled over you, you're underneath the flag. You're running to keep it off the ground because the flag can't touch the ground. So we were runners underneath. What we were not expecting was how heavy this thing was.
There needs to be 600 people minimum to do this, and we had, I believe, more than that. And when we show the video, I mean, underneath it, once it unraveled, there was people singing songs underneath.
Yeah.
But we're going to show this other video right now. And once again, it's from Sturgis Photo, from Buffalo Chip, the person that was there that made the video, because we're explaining it to you, but like you just have to see this.
You have to see it. And I think that he's planning on doing this again in the future, and if possible, contribute in any way that you can. I think he's going to do a GoFundMe to try to raise funds to be able to do this again. To actually obtain the flag is not cheap, as you can imagine. But it is so worth it to have that experience. It was awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to roll that, and then we'll be right back. So check out this video of this flag. It's amazing. My name is Gene Ho. I was Donald Trump's photographer from the earliest days of the campaign until the very last day. A journey of almost 2 years. Find out what Trump was really like behind the scenes. The stories and pictures will warm your heart and restore your trust in America and your faith in God. Read my new book, Trumpography, available now, and be inspired. Welcome back, everyone, to Right on Focus. We were just laughing because we're talking about educating liberals, Dylan Wheeler, and I know him well, but I was like, Nate, did you know him, talk with him? And then Nadine goes, oh yeah, he's really nice, and then she goes, and he's got a baby, and he goes, he has a tattoo, and I'm like, the baby has a tattoo?
No.
Anyway, we met. I've known Dylan Wheeler for a long time.
More commonly known as educating liberals,
right?
From Twitter.
Yeah, and he got banned from Twitter, like they kicked him off Twitter. And the thing with him, he had about 1 million followers. I think it was like 700,000 or something. But educating liberals is probably one of the most retweeted persons because his tweets are so amazing. I mean, he's just an amazing person. And now he's on Parler, so you can check him out there. He's on Facebook, but his numbers aren't the same there. But they actually kicked him off of Twitter. And he's been a favorite of mine. This guy is a great guy, but he consistently tweets out really good points.
He has a really good way of taking complicated pieces of the current events and articulating them in layman's terms. And it's just beautiful.
He's a great guy. I've been a fan of his for a long time. And I've met him a couple of times, but I finally got a chance to at least sit down and ask him some questions about it. And so we have a short clip here, and then we're going to roll it, and then we'll be right back. So check out this small interview I had with Dylan Wheeler, educating liberals. Hey everyone on Right on Focus. And we have educating liberals. Everyone knows what it's all about. My question to you is really, how do you get so much solid content? I
think I set the bar for myself at some point. Early when I started doing this, I did it as a joke. It was somewhere for me to escape off Facebook from people who were hassling me for supporting Trump and whatnot. So I started educating liberals as a joke, and it just took off. And of course, when I make a really good tweet or something that's solid, it raises a bar, and I'm trying to do better than my last one, And there's an art with some of those tweets. Some of them take me 30 minutes, 45 minutes to, get all of my thoughts composed in such a short, compact sentence. So I don't know. God bless me with some kind of gift of relaying information in short, compacted tweets, I guess.
Well, the thing that's interesting to me is and why I'm such a big fan of yours is no matter what the topic is, what's going on, it seems like your posts seem to always go viral. I mean, do you say, hey, I'm going to post a viral post, or how's that work?
No, not at all. Nothing's really premeditated. It's just what I stumble on. It's oh, this news just popped up, and this is what I think about that, and I can elaborate on this thought by including this point, and they're like little short compositions, essays. I really put a lot of thought into this, and I'm giving a speech tomorrow that I put a lot of thought into as well, so I'm excited for that.
Since you become famous in the Twitter world, how has your life changed, or has it not changed?
As most people know, I'm banned off Twitter for life. So that's kind of how I got my start, which is wild. But my life hasn't changed at all, other than kind of being doxxed and getting used to the hate mail through comments and whatnot. That stuff doesn't faze me anymore. My life is still really the same, and it's awesome. So I have no complaints.
And finally, how do you feel about Donald Trump?
How do I feel about Donald Trump? American legend, absolute legend, and we're so blessed to have this guy at the helm. And I'm so excited for this speech tonight. I think it's going to be epic and monumental for sure. One of his best.
All right. And finally, how can people follow you, or what's the best way to follow you?
Well, there's a new platform that's offering free speech. I've never even seen anyone get censored on it, and a lot of big names are starting to move to it. It's called Parler, Parler, and there's an app for it, which is important because out of convenience sake, people's attention spans are so short, they don't like to sign into an internet browser to get their news. They can click it, it's one click away. It runs kind of right now like Twitter, a little bit like Instagram. So it's kind of a mesh, and they're still growing. So I'm really excited about where Parler can go. And you can find me on Facebook now a little bit. They suppressed my page with 250,000 followers to not being seen by more than 900 people ever for the last 2 years almost. So it sucks because my reach actually when I got banned off Twitter and then Facebook did that, it was a collective 700,000 people that were following me just gone like that.
What was the reason they gave for you for that?
None. Not even an email.
Wow.
So there's a lawsuit going on as well that I'm a part of. and we'll see how that plays out.
Well, thank you very much, Dylan. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, James.
Thank you very much, everyone, for checking out Right on Focus once again. Please, if you like the content, also on our webpage, rightonfocus.com, there is premium content, and it's a bunch of little short videos. We're going to close with a video of Terrence K. Williams with a Trump impersonator, and that's one of our videos that we put on the premium content. So check it out, rightonfocus.com. Also, if you are watching on Apple TV or Roku, you could also subscribe that way. And another thing, Nadine, you have a new company that you're trying to promote.
Yes, a friend and I started a new company for merch. Basically, we both got to a point where we'd asked enough people, "I love your shirt. Where did you get it?" And patriots would consistently tell me, "From Amazon." No, friends, no more Amazon. So we started a website, Patriot45, spelled out. We'll go ahead and list it for you as well, Patriot45.com. We're adding more continually, but there's a base there for merch and
T-shirts made in America.
Absolutely made in America. Yes.
From a Chinese person. No. No, Nadine's the person who's designing all the shirts and all the logos. You should check it out. Patriot45.com. Has a lot of gear there. You should check it out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. And we'll finish off with Terrence K. Williams.
Yes. Is that it?
Yes, Mr. President.
Every single day, he is out there making America great, and he is like the number one Number one. He was just at the White House, and he sat at the table.
Yeah, sat at the table.
Sat at the table. It was beautiful. Please give, if you want
President Donald J. Trump is the best president ever.
I love